Okay, Ramblers, let's get rambling.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Dr. Nick.
It's Some Dumb Guy. Welcome to episode number 52 of SumDumWatch. We're celebrating 52 weeks of watching dumbly here on my channel. Of course, I've been watching dumbly my whole life, but now we're documenting it. 52 weeks in, 54 weeks, 1 year anniversary is coming up very quickly. My pending move is now solidified. It looks like October 9th will be the day. Today is September 29th. So it looks like my 1 year anniversary show will be filmed in my new place. So lots of changes coming as far as the environment goes. Obviously, it's been pretty barren right now. We've accelerated the packing and the prepping and all that good stuff. And yeah, lots of stuff, lots of stress, overwhelming activity. But somehow I managed to get some viewing into it this week, and a fair amount of it. I'm actually pretty surprised. So episode 52 will cover the week of September 22nd through September 28th. As always, this is my weekly series celebrating the joys of physical media viewership from one's own library, watching from your own collection, and attending theatrical viewings, which, as you all know, I haven't been able to do. That's the one thing I haven't been able to pry myself away from doing, to go, because all the stuff, I'm watching movies and everything else. You can pause it, you can come back, you can multitask if you have to, come back, start, do whatever. You go to theater, you're investing a chunk of time. I actually do have a lot of that coming in the future. Let's get to the stuff and things. Got a fun mixed bag, I think, this episode for everybody. And we're going to start with a film that is a comedic classic. Recently, not too long ago, maybe within the last year, picked up the 4K release of this. And it was never a film that I was as overly enthusiastic as the average movie goer tends to be. I believe this was a late 80s, but again, as so often is the case, I don't see a copyright year on this. It runs 101 minutes. I think I'd seen this maybe twice before and was, but I wanted to rewatch it and see, because my tastes have evolved. And you know what? I actually did rather enjoy this one this round. So yay for that. We have Bill Murray's Groundhog Day. Now, the question, of course, I had asked, other people asked the question, well, how long did Bill Murray's character Phil stay trapped in his time loop? And people have tried to calculate that, I guess, based on the things that he does, the things that he learns, experiences. I was actually more concerned with what prompted the time loop and what prompted its end. Because it wasn't some magical, mystical thing that was put on him, to teach him a lesson. Let's just say Scrooge would be, right? This is almost a random event with a start and an end. So why? That is my question. But still, I really much enjoyed it. A lot of fun, a lot of laughs. Glad I took the chance and went back into it. Next up, we've got a first-time watch from a blind buy. One that I was less impressed with due to its length and relative choppy nature, which coincidentally will coincide with previous episode, SumDumWatch, where I reviewed went over another title very similar in this one. But this one from 1983, and at a runtime of 193 minutes. We've got a stellar cast that includes people such as Charles Frank, I don't know who that is, Scott Lang, Ed Harrods, Lance Henriksen, who may not even have a speaking role, Scott Pollan, Dennis Quaid, Sam Shepard, Fred Ward, Kim Stanley, Barbara Hershey, Veronica Cartwright, and Pamela Reed, with a musical score by Bill Conti, which I didn't find very impressive considering this is the right stuff. Now, you could say this movie's okay. It's fine. I wasn't impressed. I wasn't underwhelmed. I think the saying in today's cool kids is I was whelmed. But I found it as equally choppy as First Man, which almost could be like a spiritual sequel to this, right? You get this skirting of events like a rock skirting on a pond. And I found the Chuck Yeager stuff, for those who've seen it, just really confusing, because he's like, okay, we've taken what would be the space program, starting with the jet engine Mach 1 trials, and then those in trials, and then progress further, and then it takes that and leapfrogs that into the space program, and then that takes that forward. But then we keep coming back to Chuck Yeager, who was one of the Mach 1 pilots, and we're just going to continue telling his story, which is at that point completely irrelevant. It's almost like the narrative should have just left him behind because he chose not to participate. And so, okay, great. So why do we keep going back to that? almost like he needed to have his own independent story, but even his parts of it that continued on after, the guys that did the space program, they leapfrogged from that ish. It was irrelevant, and it had no narrative ending. It's just like, okay, we're just gonna try to trail this along and then cut it loose because a thing happened. Okay. Probably not one I will likely revisit. Continuing a trend that we've seen over the last few weeks, I went in for another blind watch from a blind buy. This is a Shout Select title. Yeah, this one was good. Illicit passion? I didn't really see any illicit passion in this. You're lying to me. Greed, yes. Robbery, yes. Murder, yes. Collide, yes. Okay. This is a title from 1949, if memory serves. There it is, black and white, and our runtime is 88 minutes. Starring Burt Lancaster, Yvonne DiCarlo, and D'Andrea. For those who have not seen Criss Cross, it's now, I think, 3 weeks and 3 titles in a row that I featured an Yvonne DiCarlo role. All 3 I have been very happy with, all things considered. And as always, Yvonne DiCarlo delivers. This would be her oldest film that I own and have seen. This is very noir-esque, if not officially so. I'm not entirely sure. We've got some time bouncing arounds and so forth and so on. Makes for an interesting narrative, but this was a great restoration as far as the Blu-ray goes. It looks beautiful. We've got, obviously, the title suggests some crisscrossing, double-crossing, bad juju stuff when people want to be greedy. And they want to do things based on nefarious motivations, and, well, things don't always end so great when you're greedy and you're in the robbery and you're in the murder. Like illicit passion, that's 1949, yeah. Not depicted, implied, right? I guess would be the way you want to describe something like that. But this is a very good film about a man who comes back to his hometown. I don't think it's ever explained why he left. And he tries and ultimately fails in avoiding his ex-girlfriends. We're talking about Mr. Lancaster here, who was formerly involved with Yvonne DiCarlo's character. And then they bump into each other, and, sparks, of course, reignite, and you're reminded of why he left, because they're always discussing why they didn't work, and yet they're always flirting with continuing on, but now she's involved with somebody else whom she doesn't want to be involved with, but she wants to be involved with, but apparently she's a materialistic kind of gal who is more tempted by her greed than she is by her heart and her mind, and that gets the better of her, and then treats him badly all over again, and then he comes up with a plan to do the thing and the stuff, and yeah, I wonder if it would have worked better as probably not a through-line narrative, but anyway, I still enjoyed that one. I'm rambling, so I'm going to move on. That one's a tough one to wrap my finger around. Blind Buy, Blind Watch, 1946 at 101 minutes in black and white. This is a very nice Criterion Collection release. We have Notorious, starring Cary Grant and Ingrid Bergman, or vice versa, I guess you'd probably say in this case. Never seen this before. It's been a spell since I've watched an Alfred Hitchcock film, since Psycho was re-released in the theater in, I want to say, July. So this almost felt awkward, because this is aside from watching Psycho as a first time as a kid, this is the first time I've seen a Hitchcock film for the first time on a home media release. So, and in Psycho, I think that was probably on network TV the first time I watched it. A little difficulty initially reconciling the title, Notorious, with the actual film. Strangely, I made Mission Impossible 2 connections. When I was watching this, there were some very similar narrative beats going on as far as that. Wasn't initially sure where the film was going to go. Like, why is this Hitchcock? Well, it's very suspenseful because it's a spy drama, right? Much along the same kind of similar lines, I guess you might say. North by Northwest is also featuring Cary Grant. Claude Rains is also in this one, and his character is creepy. He has this presence despite being a little itty-bitty dude. I guess they had him on boxes and ramps and things like that. And then they forgot to in one shot. So Ingrid Bergman's head, he's like a head taller than he is. It's like, oops, you look up at her. I really enjoyed this one. So far, once again, I have not yet been disappointed by an Alfred Hitchcock film. I hope that continues. I am building a complete Hitchcock library eventually, or as complete as life allows, because not every film still exists. But highly recommended, Notorious, great film. Really like that one. Nighttime viewing, the falling asleep nocturnal kind. feature this one only because I finally finished it, and it took me like a week and a half to finally get through. Kept falling asleep, but I pulled out, continue on from last week and the week before, my Captain America 3 movie collection Blu-ray, and I watched the original Captain America film, or I should say the first Captain America film in this collection, because it's not the original one. You know, that one's a great solid entry. I've always really enjoyed that. So it took me, like I said, a week and a half of putting it in to fall asleep to before I actually got all the way through it. Sometimes I turn it on and play, and before it even registers, okay, it's been a long time. All right, my one DVD movie entry as a rewatch, because I think this has become probably my favorite Western. I came to that realization while I was watching it. From 2003, I believe, 139 minutes. Okay, we're just going to call it 2003, because that's what it feels like. Starring Robert Duvall, Kevin Costner, Annette Bening, Michael Gambon. We have, you probably already know what it is. If you've not seen this Western, I have it the highest possible recommendation, Open Range. So great. This is one of my old-fashioned slim cases that I used to put my movies in when I was doing them. Can't really do much with this one because it only exists on DVD, as far as I know, in U.S. I think it's seen some foreign Blu-ray releases. I need to re-examine that, but I think even those are out of print. Even on DVD, this film looks beautiful. There's a lot of, I'm just going to call it epic scenery and vista shots, and just wide, just look at the sky, look at the clouds, the sun, sunsets, look at all the terrain, the mountains, the valleys, the hills, the grass, the trees. I mean, just like, this thing is beautifully shot, and it's very unique in a lot of ways as far as Westerns go. And it's really difficult to explain why. It's got a lot more depth of character, I think. So in watching it, you can pick up on those things, but to articulate them is very difficult for me. But there's a kind of a example. You've also got Diego Luna in a kind of a semi-small role in this, even though he's very central to the storyline. Yeah, one of my favorite movies. Can't praise this much or enough. One of my favorite Westerns, rather. What we have now here, so I'm going to 9 or 10 episodes into my latest TV watch. This is a 22 episode final season of Time Treks, season 2, last season. I can understand why it was the last season. Everything about this season is, I'm just going to say, wrong. Our main character, Captain Darian Lambert, caught from the future, sent to our present time in 1993 to apprehend future fugitives who have fled justice by running into the past. He's been neutered in his police work abilities, his instincts, his fighting capabilities, the evolutionary process that he was gifted, as told and shared many times in the first season. All that seems to be wiped out. They've given him an enhanced lover boy capability where it's almost like kind of a new girlfriend of the week kind of thing, which is weird considering that he's now been neutered. And then he's got this little portable magic AI computer that is disguised as a credit card. And while he's been nerfed, she's been enhanced, inexplicably, of course, across the board. And there's practically nothing she can't do unless the plot passes more conveniently for scenarios and bad things to happen if she doesn't do those things. But then she needs to do those things, right? So, yeah, I think at this point I'm probably burning through this more out of let's get it over with and done than actual interest, because there hasn't been a single episode so far that I've enjoyed this one, and that's sad. I hate when it happens. I kind of anticipated it, but nonetheless, right? I gotta go. Thank you all for joining me. Appreciate each and every one of you and your views, your comments. Did you get my picks this week, my views? What did you yourselves watch from your own physical media libraries? Did you make it to the theater? Did you watch any good, bad, or ugly, or otherwise? Did you watch The Good, Bad, the Ugly? Because you might have. It might be in a theater somewhere. You might have it at home. Let me know. We're bucks. I shall see you next week. Bye-bye. Good night and good morning.
Alan.